the greatest fighting force ever assembled! Bigger, tougher, and more determined than ever.
Kids, welcome back. Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? That is Joe Odyssey. The JoeLanta 2010 A Joe Odyssey 12-inch exclusive figure. The only way that you could get it was to attend the JoeLanta 2010 event and purchase the figure from them. I'm sure they probably had a pre-order option also, because in my experience they've always had a pre-order option. I don't know how many of these are made. It's not numbered or anything, but neither am I able to find any information on this figure. There are not and have not been any for sale. They're not on any of the typical G.I. Joe websites. Can't find this figure. And I personally have not seen this one before. Now, where did he come from? I'm going to open this up for you here in a minute so we can take a look at the actual figure itself. But where did this come from? If you've been watching, you know that my wife and I, Lady Pop Hunter, have been going to storage lockers. Now, there's a guy that we know that has a couple of gigantic storage lockers filled with action figures. Tens of thousands of them, which we've done a couple of videos on. And if you have not seen those videos, I'll put links to them in the description down below so that you can check it out for yourself. It has to be seen to be believed. I mean, literally tens of thousands of figures in gigantic automobile storage sized lockers, completely full of action figures and toys. Unbelievable. And we've been going there and cherry picking and doing videos, and we've also been telling people how to contact this guy so that we can share the love, if you will, before he gets completely bought out by pickers, flippers. You get the idea, of which they've been finding him lately, and he's been getting a lot of business that way. But he would rather sell to collectors like you and me. So let's go ahead and got it cracked open here. The box actually opens from the bottom. I think they kind of put the sticker on the wrong side because somebody did this by hand. Obviously, this is not mechanically packed. Somebody got these stickers, put them on these boxes, and put the figure and the accessories inside. And you can see the list here. It says jumpsuit, hat, boots, shoulder holster, laser pistol, NASA patch, American flag patch, and classic collection figure, plus a mystery accessory. And those are all the contributors. Mystery accessory, which you will see here in a moment. I couldn't resist picking this one out. He had a lot of G.I. Joe stuff, but it's mostly like Sergeant Savage line and G.I. Joe movie action figures. But he had this gem hidden in there, and I couldn't resist getting it because I used to have a huge collection of exclusive G.I. Joe figures, being a huge Joe fan from 1964 all the way to present. I've always had an affinity for G.I. Joe, and I had a huge collection. Every time a convention would come out, I would get one of everything. Even if I couldn't go, I would order it. And I had a tragedy with my ex, who basically ripped off my entire collection, and I lost all of those. Some pieces I'll probably never be able to replace. So when I saw this, especially it being one I've never seen before, how could I pass it up? I'm going to go ahead and take him out and display him without the box. And here you are. There is Joe Odyssey, the astronaut from JoeLanta 2010, which was a space-themed convention. So let's take a look at what he has. First, a set of instructions. And this is not for the Joe itself. This is actually a set of instructions for the patches, because it came with a NASA patch and a US flag patch, a flag for his arm and a NASA patch for his chest, which are fabric emblems. And it instructs you here that you should carefully trim these with an X-Acto knife, and then it gives you instructions for how to attach it permanently to the uniform itself, which obviously has not been done. This is still sealed to the package, sealed to the instructions. The mystery accessory, which apparently is a life raft. It says right there, G.I. Joe life raft. Just in case he wasn't sure what it was. It has an anchor, rope, and a classic looking oar. As a matter of fact, the entire raft and everything associated with it looks very classic. It looks like something you would have seen with a 60s or a 70s G.I. Joe. And in keeping with the tradition of 60s and 70s G.I. Joes, the raft is obviously much too small for our Joe. So if you inflated this and put Joe on it and set him in the bathtub, he would sink almost immediately. With him also is a biohazard container. Have this plastic container still sealed on the sides because this has never been opened. The handles are taped down, and it says biohazard, H3 biohazard, and then there's Ziploc bag inside, and there's another little container in there of the green one. I don't know if you can see what that says. It says specimen. So apparently, while he was in space, he must have found some life form or other that is dangerous, biohazard, and he sealed it up. Other accessories. A classic looking cap. This is the type of cap that is standard for, again, 60s and 70s style G.I. Joes. It looks like the astronaut cap almost, the original white astronaut cap. And his laser pistol right here, which I've removed from the shoulder holster so that you can get a better look at it. And it looks as if they cut the trigger hole here. And I've noticed something about the figure, and I'm going to show you here in a moment. So we're going to close up on the figure and take a look at him up and down, and then we're going to test his articulation. He's wearing his dog tags, the traditional G.I. Joe dog tags. If I flip this over, the other one says G.I. Joe, of course. The shoulder holster looks a little big for him, actually. It looks like it's too big for the figure, and it's kind of falling off, and it's very wide over here. There's a lot of space. Standard blue jumpsuit with a zipper, and the zipper tab is right here. And what I've noticed about him, we'll look at his hands first. He has the standard sort of gripping hands, but if you look at the box, he has articulated fingers on the box, on the prototype on the box, jointed fingers, which is probably why they changed the gun. You notice the gun is also black in the photo with the prototype, but this figure, standard gripping hands and a white pistol where the loop for the trigger has been filed off. So some changes were made, last minute changes with this figure. Red hair and green eyes. Interesting look for him. Well painted. He had a mark. Let me turn him around here so you can look at all the details. It's a good sculpt, but I noticed on the back of his head, you see there is a mark there, and at first I thought, oh, you know what, maybe that's a smudge, but it's not. It's actually the paint. Too much of the paint was built up on that one spot so it's kind of like a paint defect. And we'll continue turning him around here so that you can see the rest of his face. I mean, otherwise it's a pretty decent sculpt. Standard sort of a Joe scale body. And like I said, I'll pick him up here in a moment and test his articulation. Reproduction of the classic white boots from the astronaut figure. And let's pick him up here. He should be articulated in a standard fashion, like a standard Joe, and there he goes. Bending knees, hips, rotating hip joints, shoulder. See, there's the arm. Wrist articulation, spinning and pivoting. Like you would expect from your average Joe that looks like this, although it looks like his wrist bends back much better than it does forward. Forward it stops about right there, back it goes all the way out. A little bit of a pivot, up and down motion is good. Side to side motion's a little wonky. Yeah, standard body. Good abs. I'll give him that. I don't know if this is tagged. There's no tag. I didn't think so. Seal him back up. Modesty, Joe, modesty. What's wrong with you? Give him back his shoulder holster before he gets into trouble here. The boots. Basic foot. Nothing special. Aside from the fact that it is a limited edition piece, it's your basic Joe. He's got a little cleft in his chin, and he has some lip detail. I don't know if you can make that out, but somebody went through the trouble to put details in his lips. There's lines. He's got the cleft, nostrils. There's articulation to his eyebrows. And the scar is there. If you can see it, it's very faint because they didn't really color it in, but he does have the cheek scar. And that's not a problem with the paint right there. There is a groove right on the back of his head at the top of his neck. So it looks like there's something up with the paint, but there isn't. The only problem there was with the paint is where it's kind of built up right there. Like I said, I've never seen this one, so I wanted to go ahead and share. Do you have this figure? Or do you have any other JoeLanta or other G.I. Joe exclusive convention figures? Tell us about it in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear about it. G.I. Joe action figures in collecting is one of my first loves. I always end up going back to it in one form or another. I was happy to find this. I think it was a really good pick. I won't tell you what I paid for it, but I do feel that I got a really great price from this guy. He's pretty reasonable. Check out those pick videos if you haven't seen them. They have to be seen to be believed. Let me know what you think of Joe Odyssey. Please give the video a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, and subscribe, all of that. Hit the notifications icon if you're new, and check out some of the other videos for reviews of other types of action figures of all sorts, modern and vintage, as well as toy discussions, weekly roundups, and other things that we do here. We do a lot more than just unboxing and reviews. So again, I hope you enjoyed that. Find us on Instagram, Open by Chance on Instagram, and also Open by Chance on Facebook. And we hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.
They strike like lightning across the globe. A Cobra force more powerful than ever before, destroying everything in their path to get the raw materials they need to construct the ultimate weapon.